Hi, I'm Edwin Rutch, and this is our panel on how might we create more interfaith empathy. And I'm going to start off by introducing Shema Salam Sumer, who's actually in Iraq right at this moment. Hi, Shema. Thanks for joining this dialogue.
Thank you so much for having me.
So the way I got introduced to you is I came across an article that you wrote. It's called Empathy, a Trait That Can Transform Your Life. I might also mention that you possess a master's degree in counselor education. You've written two books. One is called How to Be a Happy Muslim. Maybe you could mention the title. I can't quite pronounce that word.
Inshallah.
Okay, Inshallah. And rise above your problems and choose inner peace. And you also wrote those articles on empathy. And let me just read what you start off the article by saying is empathy is a transformative character trait that positively enhances all areas of your life, including your personal well-being, family life, and work relationships. Not many people know the power of empathy enhancing their personal well-being, as well as in changing the way they interact and feel about the world around them. So so that's just by way a little bit of introduction. If you'd like to add some more and also introduce the other guests.
Well, thank you for having us. I'm a big fan of Dr. Carl Rogers, who as a counselor, and he taught that empathy is perhaps the most important trait of a counselor in order to actually help people and help them to grow and to improve their lives. So I happened to just, I learned about your website from watching a video about Dr. Rogers on YouTube, and your website was on that video or something, and so I went to it and I contacted you, and you had this great idea to bring us together and talk about interfaith empathy. And yeah, thank you for organizing this. And I would like everyone, if you don't mind, to just tell us your name and your educational background and some personal information. Who
Sure,
would like
I'll
to
go.
Okay.
I'm happy to go. My name is Adam Erickson, and I am out here in Eugene, Oregon. And I would just like to promote Shema's book, How to Be a Happier Muslim, because I am reading it and finding myself a much happier Christian. So thank you for the book, and it's great. Highly recommend it for everyone. And Carl Rogers comes out in your book beautifully. So thank you for that. I was a pastor out in Chicago for 9 years. Moved out to Eugene, and now I am a chaplain at a hospital. And I am finding myself learning more and more about empathy and compassion, and it's really exciting stuff. And looking forward to having this discussion about interfaith empathy. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we just chime in, or what do we do? Are we going to be introduced?
Yeah, go ahead. Just introduce yourself.
All right. Yes, I'm Eric Mertz. So I'm here also in Afghanistan. I'm sorry, in Iraq. I was in Afghanistan before. I'm in Iraq. And here with Shema. So we've known each other for quite a long time. My background is in Sufism in Islam. And I've been active in that now certainly over 25 years. Big interest of mine has always been comparative religious studies. I have a master's degree in religion and a degree in philosophy. And we've also been able to do a number of interfaith dialogues in South Carolina before. Shema and I were participating in that together. And so the topic of empathy, or how to build empathy among the different religious groups, is quite interesting to me.
I guess I'm next.
Yeah.
Okay, hi. My name is Amal and Amal Damaj, and I'm in Richmond, Virginia right now. I've been here for 23 years, like I told you before. I love it here. My background, I'm originally from Lebanon, but I've lived quite a number of places. I lived in Europe for a while, and then I came to the US, went to school, graduate school at the University of Arizona. Then I went to Canada for a year. Then I went back home for a couple of years. Then I got married and came to Richmond, Virginia, and I've been here ever since. And it's the longest place I've ever lived, so I call it home. And I met Shaima when she was 10. I was teaching Sunday school at the Islamic Center in Richmond, and that's when I met her, and she is really a unique person. I was never able to forget her, and although she moved in and out of Richmond many times, we always reconnect, and we're very good friends, and I think what she's doing is wonderful. Just so you know what my background is, I studied agriculture. However, I did not end up working in that field. Right now, I'm working as a medical interpreter and just enjoying life in general, volunteering here and there, and that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you. One thing I could do is perhaps introduce how I came to be interested in empathy. We could go around with each person to give a little bit of hear from each person about your interests and insights about the nature of empathy. I grew up in a Christian fundamentalist family here in California, and so I was very religious, as I grew up. But then I went traveling around the world for 10 years. So I was sort of a seeker. Had my backpack when I was about 18 years old.
Oh, we lost the audio from Edwin.
Oh no, Edwin. Maybe we should just keep going. I don't know, Shema, do you want to talk about how you got interested in empathy?
Sure. I worked as a counselor for a few years and as an in-home counselor, and while working as a counselor, I tried to use empathy, but the other people that I was working with, they kind of were more into the cognitive theory of counseling, which is more teaching and focusing on thoughts. And so I kind of left my original love of empathic counseling, and after leaving my work as an in-home counselor, I reflected on my experiences, and I realized that empathy is really what is the key to helping people, showing them that you really understand them and can walk in their shoes. So my heart is really connected with this idea of empathy and using it to improve our world.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go next. I probably first started getting into empathy about 8 or 9 years ago when I started working at a website called the Raven Foundation. And our big guru, I know Shema, you're familiar with this, is a man named Rene Girard. And what Girard says is that humans have this really natural ability to he calls it mimic, but it's basically empathy. So we have this natural ability to connect with people on all kinds of different levels. And since he started this theory, we've discovered mirror neurons. And I know there have been episodes on mirror neurons before that Edwin has done. But basically, when I lift up a cup of coffee and start drinking, the mirror neurons just go nuts in your brain as if you are picking up the coffee too. It's why when someone yawns, other people start yawning, and when someone laughs, other people start laughing. It's this kind of emotional contagion. But what Renee Girard says is that this can work the opposite way too. And so if someone is like scowling, like you'll start to scowl too. If someone has anger or hatred, you'll mimic that anger and hatred. And so when it comes to empathy, it's about being very intentional about the way that emotions are contagious and how to, I guess, stop the cycle of anger through a different cycle, one of forgiveness, compassion, something like that. So that's kind of where my big interest lies with this.
Wow, thank you. That's very interesting.
I just wanted to add something about what Adam just said. I was listening to a podcast, a program on NPR called Invisibilia recently, and I can't remember exactly the technical terms, but they were exactly talking about this neurological thing with empathy, and they even showcased the story of a woman. I guess she wants to stay anonymous, so they didn't use her real name, or they just used her first name. And I forgot where she lives, but she was born with this ability to feel what other people are feeling. Like if they're eating something, she can feel it in her mouth, what they're eating. And if they're, you know, I mean, it's just amazing how, and because of that, her life basically totally changed, and she has decided, after like going out into the world and experiencing so many different things, she decided that, you know, she's gonna basically stay home and live in her own world, because it was just too much to deal with what was happening outside and feel everybody's emotions and everybody's sensations. And I forgot what the name of the syndrome is, but it's a medical syndrome, and her daughter also has it. It's like by heredity. So I thought it was very, very interesting. So there is a neurological basis for it, but of course I think our discussion will be more about probably the emotional, intellectual component of it.
That is fascinating. That's kind of hard to believe that you can taste someone else's food. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, she felt the good and the bad. She even like felt the pain. If somebody was having pain, she felt it. If it was just she had to learn to deal with it. And I don't know exactly how she did that, but she had to learn to deal with it. And you know, it was just very interesting. But I'm gonna go back and listen again to that podcast, because it's just something very, very interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. Where was that? I mean, how can I learn about that more?
I'll try to send you the link once I find it again, because I can't remember the exact name of it, the syndrome, but I'll send you the link.
Okay, thanks.
I see that we lost Eric and Edwin.